Today I'd like to discuss with you Robert Gagne's 9 events of instruction. Due to new technologies and continuing pressure to increase our nation's educational system, the instructional design field is constantly evolving. These new innovations and technology rapidly find their way into our businesses, our society, and our educational institutions. Now, while many instructional designers often find themselves experimenting with these new technologies, many still go back to the old and true instructional design model to guide their instruction. Now, this particular model that I'm speaking of is a very highly effective model, and it's known as Robert Gagne's 9 events of instruction. Instruction is defined by Briggs, Gagne, and Wager as a set of events external to the learner designed to support the internal process of learning. Now, Gagne's 9 events of instruction specify these external events that need to take place in order to facilitate new learning. Let's look at these 9 events. Now, the first event is gaining the attention of the learners. This should always be the first event of effective instruction because learners must be receptive to new information. Gaining the learner's attention requires the teacher or instructor to create a stimulus change in that environment or that classroom. Now, most often verbal cues are given to capture the attention of the learners. Teachers may also use physical gestures such as extreme hand movements, holding up signs or props, or simply pointing with a laser pointer. Now, technology now allows teachers or instructors to use digital interactive whiteboards, movie clips, audio clips to help gain the attention of the learner. Now, event 2 is to inform the learner of the objective. The simple task of communicating the desired learning objective may be what keeps students on task, while also guiding the teacher to stay on target as well. When learners know what is expected of them, it helps reduce learner anxiety, informing each of the goals to be achieved. Now, event 3 is to stimulate recall of prior learning. Stimulating recall of pre-existing information or required prerequisites can be as simple as reviewing what was discussed during the previous class meeting. Event 4 is presenting the stimulus to the learner, and this is simply presenting the learner with the information in which is to be learned. When presenting this content to the learner, it is recommended to underline key terms, circle main events, or highlight differences in the topics being discussed. Instructors should also provide a variety of examples to ensure comprehension of the desired learning outcomes. Event 5 is providing learner guidance, and instructors can do this by giving hints or cues to help push along the learner. Guiding learners helps keep learners on track and also helps prevent learner frustration. Event 6 is eliciting performance. Now, learners must perform some type of action that proves to teachers, instructors, and themselves that they've actually learned what was being taught. Practice is a great example of eliciting performance. Event 7 is a very important event. It's providing feedback. Now, once learners exhibit that they have learned the desired information or skills, learners should be provided with feedback on their performance. The most important factor is simply providing clear informational feedback to the learner, and this helps correct any incorrect performances. Event 8 is assessing performance. Now, assessing learning can be executed in a variety of methods. Projects, quizzes, chapter tests, essays, those are just a few of the many assessments available. Any of these can be assigned to effectively measure the level of formal learning, but assessments should be free of distortion and provide effective, clear feedback once completed. Event 9 is to enhance retention and transfer. Providing learners with new tasks that incorporate what has been taught previously can ensure retention of these desired outcomes. Now, projects and such things as simulations are excellent ways to measure content transfer. Now, Robert Gagne's 9 events of instruction first appeared in his 1965 book, The Conditions of Learning. Gagne, early in his career, reflected more of a behaviorist approach, but near the end of his career, his work reflected more cognitive characteristics. Gagne's work consisted of three major components: the taxonomy of learning outcomes, specific learning conditions, and the 9 events of instruction. Now, Robert Gagne was born in 1916 in North Andover, Massachusetts. Gagne held several faculty positions early on in his career. He then joined the military and served in World War II, and upon completion of that, he did take a civilian role in the U.S. Air Force's Motor Skills Lab. Gagne does accredit his early work with Clarence Graham and his early work with the U.S. Air Force's Motor Skills Lab as key influential years and people during his career. Now, when we look at comparing instructional design models, the 9 events of instruction is a more narrow approach to effective delivery of instruction to learners, as some others that are compared to other major design models in the field. Now, the ADDIE model is a more general model, and this gives those in the field a great overview of what needs to be done as an instructional designer. When comparing models and theories, Gagne's 9 events of instruction can be compared most easily or most comparably to Merrill's first principles of instruction. Now, the biggest difference between the two is that Merrill's model is a bit more simplified, and it does not emphasize the need to gain the learner's attention nor inform the learner of the objectives. Now, Robert Gagne was born in 1916, and he passed away in 2002. He was a long-time professor at Florida State University. He was a great pioneer in the instructional design field, and he held the office of president for the American Educational Research Association. He also held the title of educational psychologist.